In 1999, this man had a simple dream. He wanted to destroy the banking system. He believed that if he could give you, the individual, control over your own money, governments would lose their power, and humanity would finally be free. 25 years later, the man who wanted to destroy the system has become the system. He isn't building tools for freedom anymore. He is building the operating system for global conflict. He bankrupted a media empire for revenge. He handpicked politicians to run the Senate. And his software, Palantir, is currently watching the entire world, likely including you right now. So, what happened? How did Silicon Valley's biggest libertarian become the architect of the ultimate surveillance state? This isn't just a business story. It is the evolution of Peter Thiel. To understand the man who spies on the world today, you have to understand the kid who hated it. In the mid-90s, Peter Thiel wasn't trying to join the establishment. He was trying to burn it down. At Stanford, while other future billionaires were coding video games, Thiel was fighting a culture war. He founded the Stanford Review just to troll the administration. He wrote a book called The Diversity Myth, claiming that political correctness was just mind control disguised as kindness. But to really understand Peter Thiel, you have to understand the man who programmed his brain. At Stanford, Thiel fell under the spell of a French philosopher named René Girard. Girard had a theory that was so simple and so disturbing that it changed Thiel's life forever. It was called Mimetic Theory. The idea is this: humans don't actually know what they want. We think we do. We think we want the car because it's fast. We think we want the job because it pays well. But Girard said no. We are just advanced monkeys. We only want things because other people want them. We copy desire. If your neighbor wants a Tesla, suddenly you want a Tesla. If everyone wants to work at Goldman Sachs, you want to work at Goldman Sachs. We are obsessed with copying each other. And this copying, this mimesis, is what creates much of the conflict in the world. Because if everyone copies each other, eventually everyone is fighting for the exact same scraps. This theory became Peter Thiel's Bible. It explains why he famously said, "Competition is for losers. Most business schools teach you to compete." Thiel believes that if you are competing, you have already lost. You are just copying what everyone else is doing. The only way to win, the only way to escape the mimetic trap, is to build a monopoly. To do something so different that no one can even copy you. This is why, years later, he was the first major investor in Facebook. Everyone else saw a college directory. Thiel saw the ultimate mimetic machine. He saw a tool that would allow billions of human beings to watch each other, copy each other, and desire what each other had. He didn't invest in a website. He invested in human psychology. He was a contrarian, a radical libertarian, and most importantly, he was bored. Then he met Max Levchin. Suddenly, the culture war felt small. They realized the ultimate form of control was not speech, it was money. If the government controls the currency, it controls the citizen. So, in a cheap diner in 1998, they made a pact. They would not just build a startup. They would build a weapon to devalue the United States dollar. They called it Confinity. And honestly, it was stupid. Their big idea was beaming money between Palm Pilots. They thought people would walk around zapping digital cash to each other. Like Star Trek. Spoiler alert, nobody did that. The product failed. They were burning cash. They were dead in the water. But across the street, another man was trying to do the same thing. Elon Musk. He had a company called X.com. They were burning millions of dollars trying to hurt each other. So, in March 2000, they did the only logical thing. They merged. But this was not a marriage. It was a war. The culture clash was instant. Musk wanted to build a financial superstore, a Bank of America 2.0. Thiel wanted a crypto-anarchist wallet. It sounds petty, but these guys were ready to kill each other over server code. And this is where we see the first glimpse of the Shadow King. While Elon Musk was on a plane for his honeymoon, Peter Thiel orchestrated a plan. He gathered the board, held an emergency vote, and by the time Musk landed, he was fired. Peter Thiel was now the CEO. He did not win by being smarter. He won by being more ruthless. 2 years later, they sold PayPal to eBay for $1.5 billion. To the world, it was a massive victory. The PayPal mafia became rich. They were the new gods of Silicon Valley. But look closer at Peter Thiel's face in the photos. He was not happy. He was devastated. Remember the goal? Destroy the currency, liberate the people. They did not do any of that. They just built a checkout button for people buying antique lamps on eBay. He took his $55 million, bought a Ferrari, and drove it off the lot. But the thrill was gone. The libertarian dream had failed. The world was not getting freer. It was getting more dangerous. And then, the towers fell. 9/11 changed everything for Thiel. He realized that total freedom did not create paradise. It created vulnerability. He looked at the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, and he saw they were blind. They had the data, but they could not connect the dots. The insurgent was dead. The architect was born. He decided that if he could not beat the state, he would upgrade it. He would build an all-seeing eye that would ensure nothing like 9/11 ever happened again, even if it meant destroying the privacy he once fought to protect. After 9/11, Peter Thiel retreated into philosophy. He wrote an essay called The Straussian Moment. It is perhaps the most important document in Silicon Valley history, and almost no one has read it. In it, he argued that the peaceful world of the 90s was a hallucination. He realized that without a strong, terrifying force to keep order, humanity would destroy itself. This was the pivot. He stopped asking, how do we get the government out of our lives? And he started asking, how do we make the government competent? He remembered PayPal. They had built a tool called Igor, a piece of code that could spot Russian mobsters stealing money by analyzing millions of transactions. He thought, if we can find a mobster, why cannot we find an extremist? He pitched the idea to Silicon Valley investors. They hated it. They called it evil. They called it Big Brother. Nobody wanted to fund a surveillance startup, so Thiel did the unthinkable. He went to the CIA. He secured funding from In-Q-Tel, the CIA's secret venture capital arm. They gave him $2 million. It was not a lot of money, but it was a black badge. It meant Palantir was not just a startup anymore. It was an asset of the United States intelligence community. So, what did they actually build? The problem was not a lack of data. The CIA knew an extremist bought a ticket. The FBI knew he bought a burner phone. But the databases did not talk to each other. Palantir built the ontology, a system that drags every piece of data into one spider web. It turns the chaos of the real world into a math problem. But code is useless without proof. In 2009, Palantir engineers did something illegal. They flew themselves into the war zone in Afghanistan to install the software on Marine laptops. They did not ask for permission. And they solved a mystery that was killing American soldiers. The Marines were getting hit by improvised explosive devices, roadside bombs. They could not find them. Palantir's software analyzed the pattern of life. It noticed a tiny anomaly. A farmer in a specific village was digging in a field at 4 a.m., but only on the days when a convoy was scheduled to pass. No human analyst could have seen that pattern in the spreadsheet. The software did. They dug up the road and found the bomb. That day, the military stopped calling Palantir a tech startup. They started calling it the Savior. This was the point of no return. Peter Thiel had saved lives, but he had also created the perfect panopticon. He had proven that to be safe, we have to be watched. The insurgent who wanted to destroy the government had officially become its most powerful weapon. But if you think Palantir stops at the battlefield, you are missing the bigger picture. While the media was focused on the CIA, Palantir was quietly taking over the corporate world. They built a second platform called Foundry. Today, it effectively runs the global economy. Take Airbus, for example. An A350 jet has 5 million parts. It is built by hundreds of teams in 4 different countries. It is a logistical nightmare. If one bolt is missing, the whole production line stops. Palantir came in and built a digital twin of the entire company. Now, when an Airbus executive looks at their screen, they do not just see a spreadsheet. They see the entire organism. They can see where every single part is in real time. They can predict a delay 3 weeks before it happens. They did the same thing for BP to extract oil. They did the same thing for Ferrari to win races. This is the part of the story that scares people the most. It is not just that Peter Thiel has the engagement sequence for the military. It is that he has the supply chain for the economy. He knows how much oil is being drilled. He knows how many planes are being built. He knows how the money moves. He has built a central nervous system for capitalism itself. And when you sit at the center of the web, you do not just see the future, you control it. By 2016, Peter Thiel was done playing defense. It was time to attack. For a decade, the gossip site Gawker had been tormenting him, even outing him before he was ready. Most billionaires would have issued a press release. Thiel did something medieval. He waited 10 years. He found a proxy, wrestler Hulk Hogan, and secretly funded a $10 million lawsuit to bankrupt the entire company. He did not just win the case. He executed the company. He proved that he was not just a tech founder anymore. He was a power that could delete media organizations from existence. The message to Silicon Valley was clear. If you cross Peter Thiel, he will not just get mad. He will wait. He will watch. And he will end you. But destroying a media empire was just a warm-up. In 2016, while every other chief executive officer in Silicon Valley was donating to Hillary Clinton, Peter Thiel went all in on Donald Trump. He did not do it because he loved the policy. He did it because he loves the disruption. He was not just betting on a horse. He was buying the racetrack. He hired a young J.D. Vance to work at his venture firm. He funded his Senate run. He funded Blake Masters. He built a network of loyalists that now sit at the very top of the American government. He does not need to lobby the White House. He built the people inside it. While the media obsessed over his politics, his software went to war. In Ukraine and Israel, Palantir is not just analyzing data. It is the engagement sequence. A drone sees a tank. Palantir identifies it. The software calculates the strike. The general approves it. The tank is gone. This is the monopoly of violence that Peter Thiel wrote about 20 years ago. He is no longer the libertarian rebel. He is the defense contractor for the 21st century. But there is one final enemy that Peter Thiel wants to defeat. And it isn't the government. It isn't the media. It is death itself. Most billionaires buy yachts. Peter Thiel invests in immortality. He has poured millions into the Methuselah Foundation and the SENS Research Foundation. These organizations are dedicated to the idea that aging is not a fact of life. It is a disease, and like any disease, it can be cured. He famously said, "You can accept death, you can deny it, or you can fight it. I prefer to fight it." This obsession has led to some of the strangest headlines in Silicon Valley history. You might have heard the rumors about parabiosis. That is the practice of injecting the blood of young people into older bodies to reverse aging. While Thiel has admitted he looked into the research, it is unclear if he ever actually did it. But the fact that the media believed he would do it tells you everything you need to know. He sees the human body as just another broken system, just like the banking system, just like the government. It is inefficient. It decays. So he wants to hack it. He has already signed up to be cryonically frozen by Alcor after he dies. He plans to have his body preserved in liquid nitrogen, waiting for the day that technology can wake him up. And this brings us to the ultimate, terrifying thought. We are worried about Peter Thiel having too much power today. But what if he isn't planning for today? What if the man who sees everything plans to be around forever? So, let's look at the arc. In Act 1, he was the insurgent. He wanted to use technology to destroy the government and free the individual. In Act 2, he became the realist. He realized freedom was dangerous, so he built the ultimate surveillance tool to protect us. And now, in Act 3, he is the sovereign. He didn't destroy the system. He became the system. And in a world of chaos, maybe that is exactly what he thinks we need. Peter Thiel won. The question is, did